On this RAM 1500 with the 3.6 Pentastar, P0016 is a cam-to-crank correlation code. In plain language, the PCM is seeing the bank 1 exhaust cam position and crankshaft position out of agreement when the cam is supposed to be locked. The truck may have the MIL on, stop/start may be disabled, and depending on what is actually happening, it can also act like a timing, oil control, or facer response problem. So don't jump straight to a sensor. A missing or erratic cam or crank signal is not what sets this misalignment fault, and replacing either sensor is not the fix for this diagnostic path. The code sets when the PCM sees more than 0 degrees of difference between the bank 1 exhaust camshaft position and the crankshaft position. Before chasing it, understand when the monitor is allowed to run. The gate is battery voltage above 11.0 volts, engine speed between approximately 506,000 RPM depending on PCM calibration, engine coolant temperature above 10 degrees C, 50 degrees F. Engine oil temperature is above between 5 degrees C, 41 degrees F, and 10 degrees C, 50 degrees F, depending on PCM calibration. And the camshaft has been driven to lock pin for approximately 3-4 seconds or more, so it has time to get there. Now start with the basic system checks and handle any current service bulletins or cases that apply to this fault before going deeper. Turn the ignition on, read and record the codes, and save the captured operating data. Clear the codes, start the engine and let it idle. If needed, road test it so cam phasing actually occurs. Then read codes again. If P0016 comes back active or pending, keep going. If it does not, treat it as an intermittent condition instead of forcing a hard fault diagnosis. Next, look at the codes you recorded. If the list includes cam sensor signal faults that this path calls out, diagnose those first before continuing. After that, check for active or pending VVT solenoid circuit open or slow response faults. If those are present, deal with that path first. If they are not present, continue into the P0016 correlation checks. If a facer or oil control valve is stuck, you may also see misalignment or misfire-related code context with it. Now read the cam/crank difference learned values on the scan tool. If those values are not displayed, move on to the oil and mechanical checks. If they are displayed, compare the exhaust cam 1 high lift and low lift learned values. They should be within 2 degrees of each other. If they are not within 2 degrees, perform the cam/crank relearn with the scan tool, retest for the code, and then verify the repair. Before you start condemning facer parts, check the oil and engine mechanical side. Look for mechanical tolerances out of specification, oil pressure out of specification, low oil level, the wrong oil filter, dirty or deteriorated oil, contamination, wrong viscosity, or aerated oil. This check matters because skipping it can lead you into a misdiagnosis. If you find an oiling or mechanical condition, repair that condition before continuing. Install the applicable adapter at the oil filter cap and connect an oil pressure gauge. If the adapter is not available, monitor oil pressure with the scan tool. Start the engine, let it idle, and watch the reading. The decision point here is whether oil pressure is stable and above 14.0 psi. If oil pressure is below 14 psi or oscillating excessively, it can delay cam facer movement enough to set a slow response or cam/crank misalignment fault. If pressure is not stable and above 14.0 psi, repair the oiling or mechanical condition, such as an oil drainback problem, sludge, a damaged oil pump, pickup tube, or seal. Then verify the repair. With oil and basic mechanical checks out of the way, verify the active condition by watching exhaust cam 1 actual position against desired position. Start at idle, then compare the two values at several engine speeds. Raise engine speed quickly and hold it steady for up to 30 seconds. Then lower engine speed and hold it steady above idle, off the lock pin, for up to 30 seconds. Repeat that several times and let the engine return to idle while you watch whether the facer returns to lock pin position. If actual and desired are more than 10.0 degrees apart at idle, go to the electrical versus mechanical split test. If actual position lags, moves slowly, or overshoots desired during speed changes, go inspect the oil control valve and solenoid operation. If it tracks properly and comes back to lock pin, move on to the tone wheel inspection. Also remember the timing of the fault. A slow response failure can take approximately 30 seconds to show up, while this misalignment fault generally fails within 5–10 seconds. If the cam position is off by more than 0 degrees at idle, leave the engine idling and disconnect the camshaft 1/2 position solenoid connector. With the solenoid disconnected, exhaust cam 1 actual position should change to lock pin. The lock pin position should be approximately 123.0 degrees. If it does change to lock pin, check the VVT exhaust control 1/2 circuit for a short to voltage. If that circuit is not shorted to voltage, the diagnostic path supports PCM replacement, followed by repair verification. If the cam does not change to lock pin with the solenoid unplugged, continue with the oil control valve inspection. Turn the ignition off and remove the camshaft 1/2 position solenoid. Inspect the spring-loaded spool valve on the oil control valve. With a small punch, push the spool against the return spring and release it. At rest, the spool should be flush with the surface of the oil control valve, and it should move freely without dragging or sticking. If it is not flush, or it binds or sticks, replace the camshaft 1/2 oil control valve. Then perform the cam/crank relearn and verify the repair. If the oil control valve spool checks good, keep the solenoid removed, reconnect the camshaft 1/2 position solenoid harness connector, turn the ignition on, and use the scan tool to command the solenoid on and off several times. Watch for free movement. If the solenoid binds or sticks during actuation, replace the camshaft 1/2 position solenoid and verify the repair. If it moves freely, continue with the swap test. To confirm whether the solenoid can move the facer correctly, exchange the camshaft 1/2 position solenoid with the matching camshaft 2/2 position solenoid. Do not interchange intake and exhaust solenoids. Reconnect the connectors, turn the ignition on, clear the PCM codes, and test drive under the same conditions that set the fault. Then read the codes again. If the fault moves with the solenoid, replace the faulty camshaft 1/2 position solenoid and verify the repair. If the fault stays with the original camshaft, move on to the mechanical position checks. Turn the ignition off, remove the cylinder head cover, and inspect the camshaft sensor tone wheel for looseness or damage. Then use check tool, tone wheel right 2,027,900,2090 to check the CMP sensor tone wheel alignment. If the tone wheel is aligned correctly, continue to timing alignment. If it is not aligned correctly, replace the exhaust camshaft assembly, perform the cam/crank relearn, and verify the repair. The last mechanical check is timing alignment. Verify the timing chain and gears are aligned correctly, and inspect the timing chain tensioner and guides for faulty or broken components. If you find an alignment or component problem, make the appropriate mechanical repair and perform the cam/crank relearn. If no timing alignment or timing component issue is found, the diagnostic path supports replacing the cam facer assembly, then performing the cam/crank relearn and verifying the repair. Keep verification separate from the testing. After the indicated repair, clear the code, reproduce the operating conditions that set it, and confirm P0016 stays gone. Also remember the relearn requirement. The cam/crank relearn is required anytime there has been a repair or replacement made to a CMP sensor and / or CKP sensor, flywheel, valvetrain, timing chain, or gears. The takeaway is simple. Prove the code is active. Handle other signal or VVT faults first, confirm learned values and oil pressure, then separate electrical control from oil control, tone wheel, timing, and facer faults. For more diagnostic training, visit stepdiagnostics.com.